Welcome, my name is Monica, and today I'm going to read a book to you that contains lessons. So I will make a separate video for every chapter, which is a separate lesson. This book is called, it's very old, from 1901, and it is called A Series of Lessons in Personal Magnetism, Psychic Influence, Thought Force, Concentration, Willpower, and Practical Mental Science by William Walker Atkinson, published in 1901. The preface has a nice paragraph dedicated to Prentice Mulford, who wrote the book Thoughts Are Things, and that is referenced in this book. So let's get started with Chapter 1.
Lesson 1. Salutatory. The majority of writers upon this subject have devoted nearly all their efforts, as well as their space, to proving, first, that personal magnetism really existed, and secondly, that the phenomenon was best accounted for by some pet theory of their own. Some attribute the power of influencing men to the use of a vegetarian diet, notwithstanding the fact that some of the most magnetic individuals make graveyards of their stomachs. Others insist that in celibacy and abstinence from sexual intercourse may be found the secret, notwithstanding the fact that the majority of magnetic individuals do not differ in their sexual customs from their less magnetic brothers. Others hold that the magnetic force abounds in the air around us, and that therefore deep breathing will enable us to absorb great quantities of the vital fluid, charging ourselves with the force in the manner of the storage battery. And so on, each with his little pet theory. Now, I have no fault to find with the systems above mentioned. Although not a strict vegetarian, I sympathize with those of that belief. Although not leading a life of celibacy, I see much good in the doctrine of continence, and there can be no two opinions as to the merits of chastity. Whilst not accepting the theory of the absorption of magnetic force from the Earth's atmosphere, I am a firm advocate of and believer in deep breathing, and believe that if the same was universally practiced, much sickness and physical weakness would disappear from the earth. All these things are good, but a little reflection will show anyone that they are not the prime factors in the production of the quality known as personal magnetism. The writers on this subject usually conclude by telling their readers of the wonderful possibilities open to anyone who can acquire this power and learn how to use it. They, however, say little or nothing of how this force may be acquired, that is, beyond stating their theories. They deliver discourses, but do not instruct. They are preachers, not teachers. They dwell upon theories and neglect facts. The real progress in this branch of scientific research has been made not by writers or theorists, but by a few earnest investigators who have conducted numerous experiences and have explored every avenue of information, and who have brought this wonderful subject out of the realms of mere speculation and placed it upon a scientific basis. The writer has been a close student and investigator of this subject for many years, and the present work is an attempt to give to his students some of the fundamental principles derived from the investigations and practical experiments of himself and his co-workers in this field. Our lessons, therefore, will be confined, so far as is possible, to statements of proven facts and practical instruction, touching upon theory only when absolutely necessary. In my opinion, I would insult your intelligence if I were to present to you an elaborate argument, the purpose of which would be an attempt to prove the existence of that wonderful force, latent in man, developed by the few, but possible of acquirement by all, that mysterious quality called, for want of a better name, personal magnetism. To set out to prove its existence would be akin to an attempt to convince the average intelligent man of the fact that the magnet influences the needle, that the X-rays penetrate the body of man, or a still more solid object, that a message can be conveyed by electricity along a beam of light, or even by wireless telegraphy through the air without the need of any other medium. Every intelligent person is aware of the existence of the above-mentioned phenomena and does not need to have the same demonstrated to him. If he is interested in the subject at all, he wishes to be taught how to operate these forces, so that he may be able to reproduce the experiments himself. This is equally true of the student of personal magnetism. He has long since learned that such a force exists. He sees it around him every day and knows of the wonders that are accomplished by its aid. He possibly is aware that he has developed the force to a certain degree, and what he wants in any event is to become acquainted with the means whereby he can fully develop and intelligently use the force latent within him. I therefore shall make no attempt to demonstrate the existence of this force, believing it to be self-evident. I also intend to avoid a tiresome discussion of the numerous theories which have been advanced to account for the phenomenon of personal magnetism. I have no pet theory to advance. I will endeavor to teach you how to obtain results, and you can then read up on the subject of theories, or possibly formulate a new theory of your own. I will state briefly my own conception of the cause underlying the phenomena alluded to in this work, but I shall not attempt to force my views upon you. You are at liberty to accept or reject any theory, as the result in no way depends upon any special form of belief. Many of those who have obtained the best results have discarded one theory after another, and now say they do not attempt to explain the real cause underlying the results, being content to work on without a dogmatic theory so long as they know how to obtain the results. With this explanation, I will leave the land of theory and enter into the realm of practice, and will endeavor to so instruct you along the lines of the development and use of this mighty force, that you may reproduce the results already obtained by others, and perhaps may become investigators and leaders in the work of blazing the way through the woods of superstition and mystery with which the subject has been surrounded so long. I will ask you to accept nothing that you cannot prove to your own satisfaction by your own experiments after you have acquired a working knowledge of the subject. In our next lesson, we will take up the subject of the nature of the force.
And that was the end of chapter 1. Now on to chapter and lesson 2, the nature of the force.